Okay. So we are recording. All right. So Dylan is here with me today to talk about art and the coronavirus and the future. So Dylan's a painter, and Dylan Lombardo is a painter, sculptor, designer, and businessman. He was born and raised in Hermosa Beach, Los Angeles, and was looked upon to be a skater kid in his youth. His father owned a screen printing business, and his mother occasionally took him to the museums from a young age. This lineage of creativity and entrepreneurship has made Lombardo into the person he is today. Through anxiety and depression, he has discovered that his life purpose was to create paintings that display his research on Western art and experiment with the relationship of cultures from around the world. Lombardo's recent endeavors remain around the idea of a modern renaissance. So first of all, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Wow. Great introduction.
All right, so let's get into it. I know now is a time of reflection and for conversation. And it's a time to listen to people, to feel out the future, how people are dealing with everything. So, like, personally, how are you coping with the quarantine? How are you staying sane?
Well, how have I been coping with the quarantine? Since I'm an artist, it's not that hard for me to change my habits because I usually stay inside and paint all day. But I have taken new hobbies like learning the piano and playing the guitar. I've been reading a lot more and just watching documentaries, a lot of movies. Pretty much same old, same old. That hasn't affected me that much.
Mm-hmm. How is so how is are there any big changes in your daily life? Are there things you can't do anymore that you miss? Things that you have to supplement with something else? Like, what's that like? How's the transition?
I would say that there is not many changes in my daily habits except for maybe the grocery store
Right.
and other art stores being closed, also the galleries being closed. So there's not as many exhibitions or trips that have been canceled
Mm-hmm.
because all of this virus going on, people don't want to travel. I, Obviously, that's the safe way to go, to not travel and stay inside. But it's actually interesting because my local gallery called Shockbox Gallery, instead of having exhibitions or gallery shows that people go to, they actually host the shows on Zoom. And it's interesting because the artists are also on the call. So
Mm-hmm.
when Mike, the owner of the gallery, gets to each painting, each artist can say like a little thing about that painting at the same time while every person in the Zoom chat can hear. And I think that's pretty cool, which is innovative and different.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what's so would you say there's a different kind of audience now that it's moved to a more virtual platform? Do you have people dropping by that normally wouldn't come to the gallery in person?
I think that could be so. I think there was more people on the Zoom call than normally you would see at the show. But in art, it makes it harder because it's has more to say. The art has more to say when you're in person with it because you can see the texture
Right.
and just the energy in the room. But I also liked how the gallery made this augmented reality of the gallery so you could click and explore by yourself without having other people in the room, which could eliminate social anxiety. That could help people. So I
Hmm.
think it was productive overall.
That's cool. So are the artists still local artists, or are people submitting
Yeah.
work from around the area?
Actually, he recently put out this thing called Call for Entry, which people all over the world can submit their art. So occasionally he has people from all over the country and also different countries like like New Zealand and China, just everywhere in the world. Sometimes they fly out and come to the shows or ship their art out.
That's really cool. So you have a more like international and multicultural audience now, and artists who are actually contributing.
Yeah, I think without the call for entry website that they could submit their artwork, there wouldn't be as much people from different places.
That's really cool. So it's kind of like a new community that's been created in this
Yeah, and I also
time.
haven't seen any um, drops in art sales. People are still selling art,
Hmm.
especially with the augmented reality gallery. You can actually click on the artwork and it shows a view as if you're standing right in front of it. And then you can click on the artwork for it to bring you to a different page called artsy.com, and you could actually purchase the artwork right there. So it kind of makes
Wow.
it easier in that sense too.
Is that something you've been doing? Like, have you sold any pieces online yet?
Artsy is a website only for galleries to post artwork. So I have a few pieces through Shockbox Gallery,
Hmm.
but looking to put more on their website because I don't have that much on there that I've shared with them.
That's really interesting. So going back to you and your art, how do you find ways to stay motivated or find inspiration when you can't really go outside the same way, or like you were saying, you can't go see art galleries? Or have you found uh, have you found there to be different sources for your inspiration now that you can't leave your home with the same freedom as you did before?
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of my inspiration does come from the real world, and it helps to see things in person because a lot of my artwork is inspired by cultures and material that I use. But since a lot of my inspiration comes from different parts of the world, it hasn't made much of a difference because I can still use the internet and books to find motivation. So I usually watch a lot of documentaries and read books. I'm actually about to finish this book today called The Agony and the Ecstasy by, who's it by? I have the book right here. The Agony and the Ecstasy by Irving Stone. It's a biography on Michelangelo. It's probably my
Hmm.
favorite book now. So I haven't had any hinder in motivation because I feel that all the resources are around me.
Okay. So as an artist, I mean, I don't know how much you're following the news, but
I try to stay away from the news.
yeah,
All bad news.
yeah, it is all bad news. But what do you hope to see come from this? So I know you're talking about your the virtual reality art galleries. I think that's a pretty cool way to gain more exposure as an artist and have and and create a community that goes beyond your local area. So are there any changes to the world, maybe to the art world, to just your normal life in general, or for the greater community that we live in? Are there any changes that you want to see come from this?
Yeah, I think after this, there will be an increase in opportunity for the average person. And I hope to see more innovation and better technology because usually after pandemics or states of depression, great things come from it over history. So I'm looking forward to seeing new companies and different ways to change the world. I'm just looking forward to that. I don't know what's going to come really.
Yeah, it's a very uncertain time.
Yeah,
Definitely. I mean, we're just living by the
but
day.
definitely more opportunity, especially in the art world because of social media and this augmented reality, I think can be a big game changer.
So I want to go back to the art gallery because I thought that was really interesting. Um, are there any other things that you're seeing like this in the art world pop up that like uniquely because of the
Yeah.
coronavirus?
Yeah. So all the museums around the world are closed. I've actually heard that they're starting to open back up again, but
Mm-hmm.
in the time that people were all inside, Google Arts and Cultures were opening museums and historical places for view in this sort of virtual reality just on the phone. Like you could click your way through like the Mayan and like the Egyptian pyramids, and you go to the Guggenheim Museum and museums in Sao Paulo and just all these museums all over the world. But it still doesn't have the same effect on you when you're just on your phone. Like I wish I could go to those places, but at least we can see those places on the phone, so we should be grateful.
Right. So would you say that inspires you? Like, do you think it's an interesting way for people around the world to get inspiration, being able to, like you said, it's not the same thing as obviously being there in person and really getting the full experience, but do you think it kind of whets the appetite of people who maybe want to travel and see more? Or do you think now there's a shift towards, because I know we're kind of seeing a shift in people like wanting to stay inside more and limit the interaction, and we're kind of wondering how that's going to percolate back when life goes back to normal. But do you think there's going to be certain people who feel like they really want to see more, and it's kind of been a wake up call for,
I do think
yeah.
it whets the appetite of someone. I think that it's more accessible, and I've seen very recently, like yesterday, um, these fashion brands opening pop-up booths of augmented reality where you can see it on your phone, but it will be in the place you're in. And same with, if you've seen Cause, he's put out um,
Just
these
so
art.
for if anyone's listening, Cause is an artist, by the way.
Yeah, Cause is a street artist that is recently well renowned over the world with fine art and exhibitions and museum quality artwork. Um, but he's recently been putting out on this app where you can view his art through your phone wherever you are, and it kind of looks like his artwork is in the room with you. And I think there will be definitely an interest in that. But as human nature goes, people want to move around. So I don't think that it will be more important than actually seeing these things in real life.
Right. Um, so have you learned anything about yourself? Like I know there's been a lot of time for introspection and self-reflection. Have you learned anything personally about yourself, the way you work, what
Mm,
the way you function?
maybe as I'm not as lazy as I thought I was.
Mm.
I think if you have a schedule during the day and you consistently do that schedule, then you see a lot of productivity in your days. And my days have been going pretty fast, and I've been learning a lot of new things. I just learned a new song on the piano, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Nice. So would you say you're making more art now that you're in quarantine, or has it stayed the same? Any changes in your creative output?
I think I've been progressively making more art, but the quarantine has not really made a difference.
Okay.
I'm definitely scaling my artwork. I'm working on a collection of 6 foot by 6 foot paintings right now. I'm really
Wow.
stoked to release in the summer, probably.
That's awesome. So have you had any, so has the quarantine changed your vision for your future in any way? Like, is there, like, what does a future look like for you? And has that
I don't think
changed now?
Well, I have an old fashioned soul, so I like older things. And as much as I like change, I also just think and do by myself. I'm not really perceptive to the change until I want to be. Like, I don't really like the trends that are going on. Like, I don't like TikTok at all. I'm never going to go to the TikTok app, but you got to go with change. So eventually you just move with it. Like these galleries going online, I'm open for that. So I think in in sight, in the nearest future, there'll be a lot more online virtual reality things, and I'm not sure what more can happen in the art world because the technology isn't there. But I'm looking forward to seeing it, I guess.
All right. So I know for a lot of people right now, people are saying, well, I'm not creative. I don't know what I could do right now. I want to do something. I want to paint something. I want to build something, but I don't feel like I have the talent, or I just stay in bed and watch Netflix all day. Like, what do you have to say to people like that who obviously are capable of creating and being artistic because it's something everybody has, but some people just have trouble tapping into that state of mind? Do you have any advice how how to get there?
Yeah, every child is born as an artist. It's just hard to stick with that. But I would say for people that are discouraged or unmotivated, to just try these new things because you never know what you'll discover within them. So just try new things and be open minded. That's the most important.
Do you ever find yourself, I mean, everyone has bad days, but do you ever feel like um, you have no inspiration or you're not motivated to do something? And if so, how do you get yourself out of that?
Yeah, very occasionally. Um, Especially recently with the lack of stimuli of staying inside. The way I combat that is just take a pencil to the paper, and it doesn't matter how it looks or anything. Just the act of doing it motivates me to go more and search for more. So just starting is the most important thing.
Right. Starting. Okay. I'm going to stop recording for a second.
Wait, re-ask that question.
Okay. So, is there anything else you want to add about like virtual art and these virtual communities of people who appreciate art and artists around the world, in the way you think that we're kind of moving forward?
Yeah, so I think there would definitely be a lot more opportunity for the average artist, no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have a phone where you can reach out to people on social media. More virtual, but there will always be the place in real life to go because you need to take pictures to make it virtual. So, in that sense, I think art will be more accessible and buying art will be easier and art will never die.
Do you think there's a difference between, say, like how is the experience different from visiting an Instagram page where art's curated, or like an artist's Instagram page, as opposed to these virtual galleries? What's the difference to you? Is it more of an experiential thing? I mean, I just want to know what you as an artist.
Yeah, so it's instead of Instagram and seeing a bunch of different pictures from everywhere, it's kind of distracting. Unlike these virtual galleries where it feels like you're actually in the gallery because you can move around in the space and there's not as many distracting colors. There's only the white gallery wall and the paintings that you can explore. So it's less distracting and it's easier to read each painting. And another bonus with these virtual reality galleries is that you can actually click the painting and see the description and everything about the artist, unlike in real life where you would just see the name and title and maybe a little biography, but you'd see the price and everything easy to buy right on the spot in these virtual galleries. And I have seen that Instagram's been doing, I think in the last couple months, they've made this shopping more accessible with bigger brands, and you can click a link right from that photo to shop on their page. And I'd like to see that with art, because I haven't seen that with art, just clothing on Instagram where you can click and buy. But that's how the augmented reality of galleries are. You can just click the art and buy it. So if they
Oh, I
take
see.
that, if they took augmented reality to Instagram, that'd be a whole nother level. Like if a whole space was someone's Instagram and you could explore their space with 3D objects as well as 2D photos, that could be a game changer. I
Yeah,
don't know if I like that though, because I do like the format of Instagram now.
okay, that's awesome. All right, I think I have a lot here. Here, I'm gonna pause this again.
Cool.
And thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, thank you.